In this lesson, I'll tell you about creating array in AutoCAD 3D. So right now we have this cube here and we have these three axes, X, Y and Z axis represented by three different colors. Now let's say that we want to make a rectangle array using this cube. For that, go to this modify panel and select rectangular array from the flyout. Now click on the cube and press enter. You'll notice that a temporary array will be created. Now this array will have the default number of columns and rows and as well as levels, but we can change this value from this array creation ribbon. In order to change number of columns, click here and change its value to, let's say, 5 and press tab key, and you can see the result directly in the drawing area. So right now we have these 5 columns. Now let's say we also want to change number of rows. Let's change it to 4, and also we want to change number of level. This will be changed along Z axis, so let's change it to 3 and press tab key, and the change is directly reflected here. Now if you want to change the distance between these columns or rows, you can change it from here. So let's change it to 4 units and the distance is now changed. If you want to reverse the direction, then you can change the distance from positive value to negative value. Let's say that we want to change direction of this number of columns from positive X to negative X. For that, we can type here -4. So let's type -4 and press tab key, and the direction is completely reversed. You can apply the same principle for rows and for levels as well. Now, if you want to make this array associative so that this can be modified, then make sure this associative option is checked. So let's click on this associative option and click on close array. Now, even when you are out of this array command, you'll be able to edit it just by clicking on any component. Once you click on it, you'll notice again that the array tab will appear and you'll be able to modify these settings again. So let's again click on close array to exit this. Now let's move on to polar array. Here we have same axis system, and here we have the same cuboid, but this time the cube, and here we have the same cube, but this time the cube is not present on the origin. It is somewhere hanging in the first quadrant. Now let's say that we want to make an array, a polar array to be specific, and in such a way that it makes a revolution around the x-axis. For that, we need to select x-axis as the axis of rotation. Click on this cube and press enter. Now click on axis of rotation and now specify the first point on axis of rotation. So let's select this as the first point and this as the second point on the axis of rotation. And here we have a sample polar array. So obviously we don't want this kind of array. We want some modifications here. So let's start with number of items. Right now we have 6. Let's change it to 12 and press tab key. And you can directly see the change here. You can also change number of rows from 1 to many. So let's change it to 3. And you can also change number of levels. So let's change it to 2. Now here we have a polar array. Let's orbit it to see it more clearly. So right now you can clearly see that we have a polar array containing 12 elements with 3 rows and 2 levels. You can change this value again. For example, if you want to change the angle between these objects, but you are not interested in number of items, then you can also change its value, or you can also change the distance between rows or levels from these options. And as we have seen in the previous rectangular array case, that if you want to keep it customizable, then you need to make sure that associative option is checked. So in this case as well, when you select associative option, the array will remain customizable, and after selecting the array, you can again go back to array creation tab and you can change the values. For example, let's now change the value of this row field to 1, and let's again change this value to 16 and press tab key, and also let's change number of level to 1, press tab key and click on close array. So now here we have this polar array. In a similar way, you can also select any other axis of rotation for creating this array. So let's press Ctrl Z to get back to the original array, and let's select this array. Click on this cube, press enter, and this time let's select axis of rotation and specify another axis, and I'm specifying this Z axis as the axis of rotation for now. And let's change this number of object to 20 and you'll be able to see that this time the array is created around z axis and in the horizontal plane or the xy plane. So in this way you can create rectangular and polar array in 3D. I hope this was clear to you. In the next lesson, I'll tell you about converting an object to a surface, to a solid, and about thicken command.